All right. Hello and happy Monday. Welcome to another episode of Change School TV, our weekly dose of inspiration for your Monday mojo and mindset reset for the week ahead. All right, so we are at episode 28 today, and in case you missed us last week, we talked about one of the biggest fears that we hear when it comes to making a major career shift, and that is the fear of losing status. So as you know, this month of April has been all around fear. And so, as I said last week, we talked about fear of losing status, where we talked about, why we fear what other people think of us. How can we redefine what success really means and looks like for ourselves? And we shared some final tips for unconditioning ourselves and the need for external validation in order to thrive in life and work. So it's the final week of April, and we are wrapping up a full month of talks on fear. And tonight we're going to address the second biggest fear that we hear the most when it comes to making bold leaps in your life and in your work. And that is the fear of losing financial security. So we're going to be talking about all the fears that a lot of us tend to have when it comes to our money, when it comes to finances, and the relationship that we have with money. So we'll talk about why our fears around money often stifle our potential, how to overcome money fears by transforming your money mindset, and tips for getting on top of your money game before you actually have to. So before we get started, we'd love to hear from those of you who are watching or just jumping in. How many of you are struggling with fears about money, fears around financial security, or maybe if you are thinking about a career change or currently in a career transition, probably you have some kind of uncertainty or worry or fear around to do with money. So if that's you, give us a shout in the comments. Just say a holla or yes, that's me. I know it's super, super common. It's something Grace and I have both, faced at multiple points in our own career journeys. So give us a shout if that's something that resonates with you, or if it's something that you've worked through successfully in your own journey, then share with us any tips or tools that have been helpful for you. And that way everyone else that's watching can kind of benefit from your experience as well.
Cool. So thanks for that, Sol. And I'm on my phone here as per usual. So I'm going to try and, stay focused on the screen and what we're talking about. But those of you just signing in, just shout out, say hello, and I will do my best to type in there and say hi once I finish this part of what I'm going to share. So we're going to talk about why we fear losing financial security. And, one of the first things is really that sometimes that the sense of financial security gives us a false sense of security. So, money doesn't necessarily secure your happiness or your health or well-being, but sometimes we feel that it will, right? And by having that financial security, we think that we're going to be happier, or we're going to be healthier, or we're going to have more of a holistic life, but it doesn't always work out that way. Another thing is that, just because we have financial security, it doesn't necessarily equal to job security. And the reality of today's world is that no sense of work is ever secured, right? We never know, even if you're starting your own business, even if you're working for someone else or you've been working for someone for a really, really long time, financial security does not equate to job security. Another is that, to think about is, does your bank balance define who you are, right? It doesn't. It doesn't make you feel better. It doesn't make you feel smarter. Well, maybe it makes you feel better, right? But it doesn't make you feel smarter, or it doesn't make you smarter in comparison to others. It doesn't make you any more likable than anyone else. And if it does, then perhaps you might want to reassess, who it is that you keep around you or in your company, and, really look at where it is that you want to go in your life. each to their own, but that is some of the commonalities that we see, especially for people who are really shifting or in transition and trying to find work that is more fulfilling. So where does that leave us with money? Okay, well, we all know that money is important because it gives us freedom, and it means, it gives us a way of achieving the lifestyle or having the lifestyle that we want. It allows us to do more with ourselves, our self-care, with our relationships, with travel, all of the different things that we want to do in life. But the thing is that I sort of shared a little bit earlier is money won't secure your happiness, health, or well-being. But what you do with your money and how you choose to invest in yourself and longer term goals will. So it's not always about just having that pot of money there, but it's thinking about what it is that you're going to do with it and how you're going to value invest it in something that's going to add value to you or your personal development or your life or your family. So what's the second reason for money worries? Okay, and the second big reason we tend to see is that our tendency to confuse ends goals versus means goals. So, what's the difference? Well, we're going to share a little bit more, right? So money is a tool that allows us to have things, experience things, invest in things, everything that we value, right? And that's why money is a means goal that everyone shares. Have you ever met someone who doesn't want money? And if you have, feel free to shout it in the comments or just let us know if you're watching the replay. But have you met anyone who doesn't want money? And if they don't want money, then, I'd be interested to ask what it is or how it is that they will survive. And, there might be other ways like bartering or, there are other communities that do survive with very little sense of, finances required. Okay, so the means goal is really, the means goal is that money allows us to get something, right? The ends goals are the things that we actually value. So whether it's to travel the world, to, invest in personal or professional development, or own a home, or enjoy some time away with our family, any of those things that are going to get you to your dreams and your desires and get us out of bed each day, right? So there's a great video clip that we want to share, and we'll share the link in our blog recap, but it's by Mind Valley, and there's a great 12-minute audio exercise that you can do online that will really help you to start redefining how you think about setting and achieving goals with the idea of a means goal and ends goal. So really thinking about what are the means goals in your life and what are the ends goals in your life. But for now, what I want you to ask yourself is, are you wearing golden handcuffs? And no, it's not what you're thinking, but we recently read an article in Forbes that was talking about describing financial security and comfort and safety of this high-paying, cushy job that, is somewhat unfulfilling. And, most of the time, perhaps you might be miserable, bound to your desk, don't even have time for lunch, and you're working in this fast-paced, high-stress career, right? That's what we mean when we're talking about, are you wearing golden handcuffs? And if that sounds like you, then we definitely want you to stick around, because today's episode is going to help you free yourself of those shiny little cuffs so that we can take back our life and control what we can in our life and career to shape it and redesign it in the way that we want. Before that, I just wanted to share the third reason why so many of us tend to worry about money. And that's really because of our built-in scarcity mindset. And this is something that, I think we've both, Sol and I, have been working on ourselves as well, but over the years. And what's a scarcity mindset? Okay, well, a scarcity mindset is about seeing limitations instead of opportunities. And it's similar to a fixed mindset, but it's more in the fact of, in the context of money, right? So in this headspace, we fear shortages, we fear insufficiencies, or we're afraid that we're never going to have enough money, or we're never going to make enough money, or we're never going to be successful, or we're never going to be rich, or, all of these things that we fear are in shortages, or that there's just never enough of it. And that our busy lives and our fast-paced career tends to reinforce it and reinforce this feeling that we're never going to have enough hours, we're not going to have enough budget, or our salary isn't enough to help us do X, Y, Z, or we're just not going to have enough time with our family and friends. So if you are wearing a scarcity mindset hat, then change tends to feel more risky and seems more impossible. But we like to reframe it, or we like to rethink about it and really look at, the abundance side, which Saul's going to talk a little bit more about how to transform your money mindset. But an abundance mindset is the opposite of a scarcity mindset. And I'll let Saul share a little bit more about that.
Awesome. So I want to talk a little bit about, or rather I want to share some strategies and some ideas for you to really think about, as well as some questions that you can reflect on, because we love reflecting, that are really going to help you transform your money mindset. And like Ray said, the first and I would say most important step to transforming your mindset is about building an abundance mindset. And it's true, it's something that Grace and I have to remind ourselves of, time and time again, whether it's regarding, the business or our personal lives, or even, our personal professional lives. So it's definitely a work in progress. It is a process, and it's just something that we have to become more aware of in order to really cultivate over time. So Grace shared about the scarcity mindset, and so the abundance mindset is really the opposite. So it's where we believe that there's always more opportunities, more ideas to try, more places to explore, more ways that we can grow, more things that we can fall in love with, and more ways to turn a negative situation into a positive. So abundance isn't about your bank balance. It's not about having a big house. It's not about a luxury holiday. It is about a feeling. And that feeling has a direct impact on how you think and how you behave and the actions that you choose to take. So to build an abundance mindset, you really want to start thinking about what abundance means to you. Does it mean freedom? Does it mean giving? Does it mean being generous? Does it mean indulgence? So knowing what gives you that feeling of abundance will show you how you can start to create that feeling in your everyday life in small ways, and by taking small little baby steps, whether that's in your life or in your work. So as an example, maybe you feel abundance when you're hosting a bunch of friends over for dinner, or when you give yourself a half day to just do nothing or to pamper yourself, or maybe spending an hour or more, with a book and a glass of wine gives you that sense of fulfillment and abundance. Maybe it's going for a walk or a drive or a ride to anywhere. But the point is that when you put that energy out into the universe and really believe that what you have is filled with abundance, then you actually open yourself up to receive more abundance in all areas of your life. And so that's really the power of the abundance mindset, and why it does take time to build, but it can really start to trigger a lot of positive shifts in your life and in your work. So really it boils down to the second point, which is, cultivating a healthier and more positive relationship with money. So much of this we don't always realize, but is actually tied to what we've picked up in our childhood or from our own past experiences. So the first thing I'd love for you guys to do, just to start thinking at the top of your head, and maybe note down these questions so you can come back to them later, is to ask yourself, what are your beliefs about money right now? Were you brought up to think that it was difficult to make money or easy to make money? And is the relationship that you have with money at this current phase generally something positive or negative? Or maybe think about what's been the relationship between money and your friends or your family as you've seen it in the past, or even in the more recent times, and how has that influenced your attitude or beliefs around money? I think this is a really interesting set of questions and kind of mini exercise to do. It's one that, I've done personally. I know Grace has done it as well. And I think it's interesting to see some of the connections that you'll find in, however you've been brought up or whatever experiences you've had, and how that's really impacted the way you think about money or the way you behave when it comes to money. So I hope you guys find some time either tonight or today, depending where you are, to really make a list of all the answers to the questions I just threw out. And then really look at everything you've written and ask yourself how you can kind of release these negative feelings or negative kind of or underlying fears really about money. And as we've said over the last few weeks, you know, the journey to overcoming your fears is a journey to freedom. So if you can decide today that when it comes to money, you're going to free yourself of those worries and of those concerns, then you can start inviting more abundance into your life. And that applies to multiple areas of life and work. So, okay, those are really the two big ones I wanted to share. But once you've really started taking those steps, then I want to quickly share just 5 simple ways that you can continue to actively transform your money mindset. So the first one is to change your narrative. So if you find yourself always saying things like, I'm so broke, money's so hard to make, I'm always down to my last dollar, or, you know, maybe deep down inside, for whatever reason you feel like wanting more money is bad or greedy, then it's time to change your story and change your narrative about money to something more positive, like, you know, I already have everything I need, or I give generously and I receive abundantly, or abundance is not a bad thing and money is not a bad thing. And, you know, maybe you're just going through a really tough time and it's about reminding yourself that the universe, in the end, will always provide. And I'm not saying sit back and just, you know, hope that money's going to come. It's more about putting that right energy out there and believing that, or really seeing that a lot of times when we're freaking out about things, they end up working out to be okay, right? It's usually not a you know, live or die situation anyway. So if we can start to practice having a more positive attitude and just being okay, even when things seem a little bit shaky, then chances are things will turn out better than we expect them and faster if we have that positive attitude, even when we're going through a tough time. So that's number 1, change your narrative. Next is practicing gratitude. Now, I know sometimes the whole idea of like being grateful can feel a little funny, or it just doesn't sit well. I know that's how I felt in the early days of trying to really practice more gratitude in my daily life. I was kind of like, okay, it feels a bit surface level. But I think another way to look at it is like this, right? If you look around your life and all you ever see is lack, like I don't have enough clothes, or I don't have enough money in my bank account, or I don't have enough contacts on my LinkedIn, or whatever it is. If everything you see is lack, then everything you get will be lack. I don't think that's grammatically correct, but hopefully I think you guys know what I mean. But when you shift your perspective to see everything around you as abundant, then that's exactly what will start to come your way. So instead of, you know, constantly focusing on the things that aren't enough, or having that kind of language in your mind, start to see things as more than enough, always, right? And you will start to actually have and see that happening in real life. So that's the second point, practicing gratitude. Number 3 is focusing on possibilities. And I know this is something we always talk about in different episodes, in different contexts at the Change School. And we keep talking about it because it's so important. Because when it comes to dreaming big and being bold in your life or in your work, so often your practical mind is your worst enemy. So instead of thinking things like, I can't earn enough money from my current job, or receiving more money is impossible, you know, switch it to start asking yourself, what would it take for more money to flow to me? Or how could I get paid for the value I already have? Again, it's not thinking about, you know, the skills you don't have, the experience you're still lacking, but going, okay, I already have a lot of experience. I have an abundance of skills and talents. So how do I make that work for me? Okay, next point is to know your worth. And this is related to the point I just said on focusing on possibilities, right? So it's really essential if you want to live an abundant life and to have a fulfilling career, to really understand who you are and recognize that life is not just about struggling and surviving. It's about striving to thrive, right? And so if you're always thinking about, having to make ends meet, live paycheck to paycheck, then you're actually hindering yourself from thriving. And so that's why if you want to be successful in anything in your life, right, you really have to believe that you deserve success and that you deserve happiness and that you deserve to thrive. Final point is to declutter your mind and your life. So when your life and your head is full of distractions, full of stress, full of stale energy, things of the past, things that are no longer serving you, things that you don't need, it becomes really, really difficult to create the space for that abundant energy to come into your life. So, take a moment, whether it's today or maybe at the end of the week, and really just evaluate all the areas of your life and ask yourself, where can I create more space to feel lighter, to feel freer, and to be more open to positive sources of abundance, whether that's meeting new people, finding new opportunities, searching for new possibilities, or even finding new love. Whatever it is you're looking for, I think it's just bringing that abundance to it so that you can receive it. So we promise that if you start practicing these steps that we've just shared, you will start to see positive changes in your life, and you can stop relying on the false security of your monthly pay stub to start feeling real happiness, real freedom, and real sense of accomplishment. That's it from me, and Grace is going to share some tips for getting on top of your money.
Yeah, so thanks, Sol. I think they're all such important tips that you've shared, and as Sol mentioned, they're things that we've also put into practice and constantly remind ourselves about. And the beauty of us having each other is that we can remind each other of these things all the time. And when one falls off the bandwagon, the other is there to knock on our back and tell us, hey, what have you been doing? But, we wanted to finish off, I guess, by sharing a couple of tips. We also have a financial planning workbook that you guys can download for free, and I will share the link in our comments in a minute. But I really want to share a couple of practical tips to help you get on top of your financial standing. And, it doesn't really matter where you are in your life or career, there's always ways that we can optimize, our money, and there's always ways that we can start saving more money. So one is, as we all say, start bolstering up your savings, right? Start putting away, no matter how much you're currently earning, just a small amount of money regularly so that you can start seeing it grow incrementally. And, try and have a distinction between short-term savings and long-term savings too. So if you need to have an extra bank account where you have short-term savings and then another one for longer-term savings, or maybe you want to even name it like travel or bicycle or, future investment, whatever it is, do that, right? And even if you want to have a little bit of fun and maybe put it at your house and have 4 or 5 different boxes and just label them different things and really make it super old school. And then once you hit a certain amount, then put it into the bank account. Do it that way as well. I think the goal is to try and also make it fun and enjoyable, right? And really something that you can enjoy in putting your money away and feeling good about it at the end of the day as well. So something you could do is if you have the 4 or 5 different boxes for your different savings on your desk or in your room or wherever, maybe you have a certain corner for it. Once you put a little bit of cash in there, maybe even write a gratitude point at the same time, right? And fill your little gratitude jar so that you're able to correlate the two and do, an end of day ritual, right? The second tip is to, optimize your spending. So it doesn't mean you have to be uber super frugal, right? But it's, if you're really thinking about making a switch or about, you know, taking a sabbatical or really wanting to shift the way that you're living right now, whether it's paycheck to paycheck or whatever that is, right? Really start looking at your spending habits. So just track your money for maybe the next week or the next 2 weeks or whatever it is, and start seeing where it is that you can reduce extra cash that you're spending. Maybe it's instead of getting that extra latte or, you know, the extra toasty in the morning or whatever it is, right? Or maybe instead of taking 5 cabs a day to work, you know, you're able to take 3 cabs a week instead of 5 cabs a week, and the rest of the time you take public transport. So see where you can cut down and you can optimize, but also without necessarily giving up 100% that lifestyle that you're currently living, so you can't feel like you can't do anything, right? We don't want to feel miserable, but we need to start achieving our goals of where we want to get to and what it is that we want to start saving for. So the third is think about more creative ways to make money. If it's possible and you can start doing something on the side, maybe you're great with pets, you could start, you know, dog walking, or maybe you could start coding some websites, or you could babysit, whatever all of those other potential skills or passions are that you have. Think about what it is that you could get paid for as a side hustle, or even taking on a freelance project. Or recently, you know, something I did because I was trying to declutter my house and reset the house for the second half of the year, even though we're not really there yet. But, you know, something I was thinking of is like all the stuff that I have that I am no longer using or I have not used in the last year, and starting to sell that, right? So I have a pair of bar stools that I'm looking at selling, you know, my old bicycle. All of these things are extra ways for us to start getting money coming in, you know, and being able to potentially save for something else. Another is maybe thinking about bartering, right? So instead of putting your cash forth for something, what ways could you barter and therefore save some of the cash that you would have spent on that, you know, in a way where you're giving a service or your time or something instead of your cash. So really start thinking about the different ways that you're able to start saving money, but definitely find a tracking app or something. And we've actually, as I mentioned, you know, we have a huge financial planning workbook. Well, it's not huge that you won't get through it, but it's huge in the sense that you'll find a ton more tips in there, and it's super practical. You know, you'll be able to work through some tracking, work through what it is that you're looking at planning for, so much more. So if you want to download it, it's free. You just head on over to bit.ly/TCS Finance. I'll pop that in the comments, and we'll also share that later in the week on our social media channels. But that'll help you, and that'll add, you know, give you a few more tips to what we've just shared today. But I think, you know, as Sol said, the biggest thing for us to really focus on when it comes down to money is really thinking of the abundance mindset and trying to shift that way that we look at money coming in and money going out.
Awesome. So I think we're about to wrap up, but before we do, as always, because we are getting closer and closer to our next intake for our 6-week online course, I have to take this opportunity to do another shout out and give you guys a little reminder that we are now 2 weeks away from opening enrollment to our 6-week immersive course on how to confidently create your bold career move. So if you know you want to start being bolder in your career, but you aren't quite sure what that really means, or you have an idea of what that means, but you're not quite ready to make a big decision to change jobs, or even bigger, to switch careers, then this is definitely a course for you. So the course is the perfect opportunity to start a bold career journey without having to leave your job, without having to disrupt your life in any major nerve-wracking way, and actually without having to leave your desk if you don't want to either, because it's all online. So you'll finally have the time to reflect, which is something I think we're all deprived of in our busy work lives, and to really be able to plan and think about what's next for your career, with guidance, with support, with other people who are in the same sort of headspace as you, and who, like you, are really thinking about how they can grow and continue to move forward in their careers. And I think that for us is really what this whole idea of living bold and working bold is all about. So because our waitlist, our early interest waitlist has been open for some time, our email updates have already started going out to the early birds who are on there, but it's not too late to get onto our list so you can start receiving all the insider info about the course. I could go on and on forever, but I won't take up your Monday night, but I'm sure you have questions and would love to know more, and there's no obligation to sign up to the list. So if you want to receive our updates, get on the list, and as an added bonus, you'll be the first to know when we open up for enrollment. And seats are limited and they go fast, so that's definitely a big plus. And on top of that, you'll be the first to know when we announce our 48-hour flash sale, and we know how much people love sales, so you want to get in on that, and you want to snag a seat before all the discounted seats get taken up, and then we open up for full enrollment for the remaining seats. So stop fretting about financial security. We've given you lots of tools and, or rather strategies and tips for how you can start transforming your money mindset. And I think it'd be much more constructive to start thinking about how you want to value invest in yourself and start creating those opportunities that really will bring more abundance into your work life and more abundance into the possibilities for your career. That's all from me on Bold Career.
Yep. So thanks. So, I mean, you know, you guys probably heard us for the last few weeks, but it's just that we do get inquiries, and, you know, the easiest way is also for us to share it whilst we're on our Change School TV, and those of you that are watching us. But if you want to be back for more, then be sure to block your calendars. We are here for your Monday Mojo, Monday nights at 8:30 p.m. GMT +8. And next month or next week, we are into a new month, and we are talking all about what it means to be bold. Because right now that word bold is everywhere. It's showing up everywhere. It's showing up on my feeds. It's showing up in my email newsletters. It's showing up in my face everywhere I go. And, you know, it couldn't be of a better time for us to start talking about being bold. So a little bit of a spoiler on what type of episodes we've got coming up. And next week, we're talking about how to kickstart a bold career. The following week, we're going to have an announcement a little bit more around our bold career course, but also going to go deep a little bit into each of the different modules and just share, you know, some of the things that we cover in there, as well as some of what our past alumni have gone through. Week 3, we're going to chat with a bold woman herself. And she is one of our, you know, humans of change who's going to share her bold story of change. So we're going to share Kimberly Wace is her name. I hope I got her surname right. But don't you worry, she'll be saying it right when we get her in week 3. And week 4, we're going to talk about well, we're going to have a little bit of a behind the scenes of our Change School our bold Change School team. So that's actually going to be really fun. I'm looking forward to that one. Our team has grown, you know, pretty well over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6 months. And we thought it'd be a really good time for us to start giving you guys a insider's peek into what the Change School team looks like. And we do have men in there. So yeah, that's kind of just giving you a little bit of a spoiler. And if you guys want to watch this, you can watch the replay. It will be up in the next couple of days. As always, we have our blog post recap, which is there if you feel like reading And if you want to share this with anyone that you think is going to value it, there is, so much value in today's episode, as well as that free finance workbook, which I've shared the link in the comments. And otherwise, we will see you next week.
That's it. See you next Monday,
All right,
guys.
guys. Have a good one. Bye.